Welcome to the Rustic Garden Homestead. I'm going to be doing tomato profiles on all the tomatoes that I've been growing in my garden for 2024. I'm going to start the profiling off with the Juliet Hybrid. I've been growing this tomato pretty regularly for the last 15 years. It is my favorite grape tomato. So just real quick, this plant is about almost 7 feet tall, 6.5 feet tall. It's one tomato plant. I'll show you how I planted it, talk about how I'm trellising it. This is being trellised up fencing, and I'm not doing a lot of pruning. It's a cherry type tomato with a grape shape. So falls into the cherry tomato category. Fast grower, extremely prolific. I've been taking tomatoes off of here just about every day. One of the first cherry types to start producing nice clusters, you know, of 6 to 8 tomatoes per cluster. And we'll get in close and look at all the tomatoes on there. But just look at all the clusters. It's really disease resistant, has great resistance to spot diseases, blight. I do treat my tomatoes with hydrogen peroxide. You can check out my videos on that. This has only been sprayed once and it's looking pretty good. We've had 95-degree temperatures. I can see a little issue starting on here. It's going to get sprayed, maybe some sort of leaf spot. Soon as the heat and humidity roll in here in Maryland, I'm in Maryland Zone 7, leaf spot shows up, but I don't worry about it because I treat them with hydrogen peroxide. That takes care of the problem. But if you need a tomato, a grape tomato, cherry type, that's really disease resistant, I recommend the Juliet Hybrid. Like I said, it starts producing well ahead of most of your cherry tomatoes. You can see some die off down here, that's normal. Nice big 1 to 2 ounce grape type tomatoes. I'm going to pick all these, just show you what I'm getting off of them today. Very meaty, you can make sauces out of them. I cut them in half, put them in salads. I pickle them, I jar them. They're just nice tomatoes. They're not full of liquid and water, meaning they got some bite to it. So it's nice. It's a good flesh inside, very sweet, high sugar content. One of the best, I think. I actually would say this is my favorite grape tomato that's out there. This is what I took off the plant, about 20 tomatoes. I cut them in half just to show you, how meaty they are. So they have a great sweet flavor. And again, you can use them for sauces. I like having more flesh than a really watery tomato. You want to pick them when they're about this dark. They'll look something like this. That's the maximum sweetness. And they're just a nice firm tomato. They do really good too against cracking. They've got great resistance against cracking, which usually happens if the soil's dry, you get a heavy rain, lots of water come to the plant, it pulls in water really quickly and the fruit cracks. And then just one tip that I want to talk about for the cherry types, and again this is a grape tomato but it's still a cherry tomato, is to really not prune out the suckers. Every sucker becomes a production stem, like it's just going to start growing like this, coming out the side, and you're going to get tomatoes that are going to form on there. So where you can, tuck it in, trellis it up, tie it to a stake. The only time that I really prune these is if some of them are just getting too far out over here, maybe overshadowing my leeks or something like that. But I really try and keep every one because you want your cherry tomatoes to really produce, and just about anything that grows from a cherry tomato plant, sucker-wise, is going to produce loads of cherry tomatoes for you. The single plant, I didn't do a lot of pruning. If you take a look down there, I'm letting the suckers form, and I just go ahead and tuck them in and out of the fencing so that the fencing ends up supporting the tomatoes. I want to just show you, oh look, we got to remove that, something's chewing on that. But I want to just show you all the clusters on one plant. I think it's really worth just showing all the tomatoes you're to get. It keeps producing, does well in the heat. This is not getting protected from the sun. We've had a good 3 weeks of 95+ degree temperature, and just look at these beautiful clusters. And they just keep going and going. It's July 18th, coming up to the top. More clusters coming, and this guy's going to keep going and going and going. Treatment about starting really around July 15th. About every 10 days I might hit my tomato plants with hydrogen peroxide spray. That keeps the fungus off of them. But again, this one has really good resistance. Very sweet, sugary tomatoes, very prolific. One plant is going to give you plenty of grape type tomatoes to really, I think, meet your needs. And I'm growing it right on the fence like this. It's actually creates shade. I use this to create shade to help protect the pepper plants over there, but that's for another video. Is getting some flea beetle damage, but the plant can really take the heat, the humidity, manages through disease with minimal care. I do feed this plant about every, 14 days with a light water-soluble fertilizer. I recommend AgroThrive. Light meaning I don't necessarily use full strength. Instead of 4 ounces of AgroThrive, I'm using 3 ounces. But because this plant just really produces and grows, I'm making sure it's getting a water-soluble, again, about every 10, 14 days, sometimes 21 days. I have my soil really well prepared. I have plenty of videos on that. I usually mix in a couple shovelfuls of compost, a couple handfuls of organic granular fertilizer, but the consistent water-soluble fertilizer is what keeps this plant going. And please subscribe. I'll be doing profiles on just about every tomato plant I'm growing this year. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com. And if you're looking for a cherry tomato that's really prolific, tastes great, manages disease, can handle the heat, the Juliet Hybrid. Grape type tomato, perfect for any garden. Thanks for watching.